ThaBoxingvoice.com here with undefeated Kevin Newman, still in the middleweight division, still undefeated. What's going on, Kevin? How's it feel to still have that unblemished record?
Oh, man, it's a great feeling, man. That was a guy I fought in my first professional fight. And, I had got a draw, unfortunately, which in a fight many people thought that I won. But, the guy's a tough and rugged guy, man. And, I was just happy to get that monkey off my back, man, and handle business and do it the way I did it.
I didn't know that you were up against the guy that gave you the draw in that first fight. Describe that feeling to avenge what wasn't a loss but a draw.
It was a great feeling, man. Like I said, I mean, I needed that. I had 4 opponents fall through, and they popped his name. They brought his name up. They said, "You want to fight him again?" I said, "Yeah, let's run it back." And I needed that. And I think that's gonna take me to the next level because I always stuck with that in the back of my mind. I'm like, I know I can beat this guy handily, and tonight I proved that. Like he's fought guys, like David Benavidez, he's fought Shane Mosley Jr.
The light heavyweight, David Benavidez?
He's fought some tough guys, and he went the distance with these guys, these experienced guys, man, and, he's just a tough dude, tough, rugged guy, and I was almost able to get him out of there.
So compare, because I know that fight was at the MGM, it was your pro debut. Compare the feeling that night to now, and your confidence now that you've been able to exercise that demon.
That feeling that night, man, that was one of the worst feelings of my life, because I worked so hard, even though I had a year off from the amateurs to the pros. I won a national championship, and then I was off for a whole year, and then I turned pro on the Maidana 2 card, and I went after the fight, man. I went into the hotel room, I cried my tears, man. I still came back down to support all the fighters, but man, that hurt me to the core, because of how much I give to the sport. How serious I take the sport, and he's, like I say, he's a tough, rugged guy, man. And, it just felt good to really get up in there, and handle my business this time.
Did you get to talk to him after the fight at all? Did he tell you anything, like you were a different guy tonight, anything like that?
It's funny, man. After we fought, about a year later, someone had hit me up and was like, "Hey, man, the guy Ozzy, he has a lot of respect for you, man. Would you mind working with him?" I'm like, "Of course, I would love to spar him, because I wanted to see, what it was about him, and I sparred him, numerous times. I take my hat off to him, man, because I got really in sparring, I was really dominating, and I was like, I know I can beat this guy. I damn near stopped him a couple times, but still, he's still tough, and I have a lot of respect for him, because he took the fight when he didn't have to take the fight, and he took the fight, and he gave me a chance to right that wrong, man. So I got a lot of respect for him, and like I said, I was glad I was able to get in there and do what I did tonight.
So why are you a better fighter now as compared to the first time you fought it? I mean, technical-wise, is it something you better jab, going to the body better? What is it?
It's a little bit of everything, but main thing is listening. Listening.
What was that?
Listening to my trainers, focusing, on what I need to do. I was a lot more focused tonight. I'm not a person to make excuses, but before my debut, man, it was crazy, man. I'm in Maidana 2, man. I got cameras in my face. Something that I'm not used to. I'm saying? I'm a human being. It doesn't mean I crack under pressure, but it's just something that I wasn't, used to. I had a lot of outside interference going on, So this time around, I was focused, laser focused. I worked extremely hard, and I listened, and my skills have gotten way better over that 2-year span almost, So I was just happy to get up in there and put on a great performance that, I've got numerous people come up to me, and they really liked it, I'm my biggest critic. I always feel I could do more, but I felt in spots, I showed people my ability and what I'm capable of, and they can see flashes of that ability and talent that I have.
Kevin, you said, you touched on that. Your first fight, the bright lights, it was on the undercard of a huge fight, Mayweather Maidana 2. So you're such a young guy, and you're going to get a lot of people, like you said, coming up to you saying, great fight tonight. How do you stay grounded and just keep trying to become the best Kevin Newman and not get ahead of yourself, not let that get to your head?
Well, you got to stay grounded, because if you let people telling you good job and things like that get to your head. I heard it from Floyd himself, great job. It came out the man's mouth himself. Great job, he's proud of me, this and that, but I can't
tell you that tonight, Floyd. Yeah.
I can't let it get to my head, because when you start letting things get to your head, that hunger you have starts to fade. You don't want that hunger to fade. You gotta, make it like you didn't even win. You gotta be hungry, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be focused, you gotta be hungry. Like, my thing is this, after I win a fight, I thank God, and that adrenaline that I get after I win, it fades by the night's over. I'm thinking like, what's next? You know, what's next? Okay, I got another fight coming up. Like, you know, that's how you have to be. You know, because if you're content, you know, you're not gonna want more. I want much more. You know, and that's just a victory that I needed. It wasn't. I wouldn't say that that's a huge victory because of the guy and his record and everything. That was a victory that I needed. You know what I'm saying? And I think, you know, now it's just onwards and upwards from here.
Hey, what's next, Kevin?
I'm just gonna wait, you know, to hear from my team, my manager Dewan Blake, you know, my promoter Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellaby. You know, I'm just wait, and whatever date they have for me, I'll be ready for it.